Hello, 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 everyone, and good evening. It's Tuesday. We're almost halfway through. We've almost made it to hump day. Give me just a second while I share one more place real quick here. I apologize. Facebook likes to change it on me weekly, so I have to figure out the new system. So we are all set with that. So I hope everyone's having a great week. I hope everyone is doing well with the heat. I know it's been a crazy week here. We've been in the hundreds, so at least I'm staying cool inside right now. That's all that matters. So we're going to run through the quick list of sponsors, and we're going to bring out our guest for tonight, Sam Vera, talk about Forbidden, and talk about a little bit about his passions and how he got into the comic career. I know we talked to him before, but in case we have new people, we'll kind of rehash some of the old subject from before. So we have Hazzum Productions with Ronnie Fike and Tina. Check out the project that is live right now, Pitter Patter Issue 2, which is available in a link in the description, as well as their other projects at Hazzum.com. You can get Peanut Pudding and Jelly, as well as Roadkill Rampage. Our second sponsor for the night is Lisa Melone with Melone Management. Do you have any type of crowdfunding that you're running right now and you need help with stretch goals or sharing out your project while you keep humping on the art or story, whatever you need to do, then hit up Lisa Malone. She will give you a 1-hour consultation for free and let you know what a list of her services are. We have 183 Degree Studios with Alfred Trujillo, Doobie Doobie Doo, and Miss AZ Power Girl, Kara Nicole. Check out their Patreons in the link above, as well as their website, 183degreestudio.com. And we also have Codex Entertainment LLC, which just funded Lily the Demoness Chapter 5. And they have other projects called Whispers in Necropolis, Ace and Starlet, and Nebula Pearl. Had a brain fart there for a second. We have Naughty Fairies with Miss Wendy Steen Shaner. Check out Naughty Fairies at the Etsy link above and the con link, and get caught up on all those awesome issues of Naughty Fairies. Outpost 426 with CB Zane and Michael Shoemaker. Check out Scorpiana 3 will be launching in August, whatever Tuesday is. I think that's the 2nd. I got too much stuff going on. So August 2nd, that will be launching. And check out their other project, Into the Suck, and Black Rabbit will be dropping later on this year, as well as Mighty Might. And last but not least, we got DPopp Customz. Check out DPopp Customz for all your print needs. If you have a print that needs dusting off that you want to make a frame for, light it up, make the lights dance to music, then hit up DPopp Customz and he can make it awesome. I mean, they got some pretty cool stuff. So check out all those links in the description, and you can find whatever you need for any of those. So without further ado, we're going to bring out Sam.
What's up?
What's going on? At least I'm not calling you Vera Sam this time, right?
I know. And a mystery.
Man of mystery. I blame it on your Facebook, man. See, that's what happens when you make up those mystery names.
Yeah, exactly.
So how you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. Been running around. I've been doing a lot of podcasts to promote Forbidden, and so thanks for having me on.
Oh, you're welcome, man. Hey, you know what? It's the crowdfunding rodeo, as I like to call it. It's just, it's utter chaos. You got so much stuff going on. You're working on, story, art, making those final tweaks, trying to make sure everything's in line so you can get everything going as soon as possible once it funds. And then while you're doing that, you're trying to promote it and, get it out there. And then you got these podcasts, like you said, where you're going around, talking to people about it and stuff like that. So we won't bang around too much and, go over the Kickstarter and bore everybody with, everything. You guys can check that out. But we want to get to know about you. So, I know we talked a little bit about it before, but like I said, I'd like to rehash it for anybody new that's watching or, comes back and watches this. Who are you and where did you start in comics? How did you get into comics?
I'm Batman.
Batman.
I am Sam the Crazy Man, and basically, I've been a fan of comics since I first read Archie comics. My mom was a big fan of Archie comics growing up, and so she would always read Archie, and that was like the first thing I saw. But I've been a fan of cartoons and creativity. I grew up with Saturday morning cartoons, and I'm a big Jim Henson fan, and so I've always drew what I saw. Like I was a copy artist. And then one day, I always share this story. One day, my stepdad said, "You'll never amount to a real artist because all you do is copy everything." And I was like, "You son of a biscuit eater!" And instead of me, going into a hole, I said, I'm going to show you. And I started forcing my imagination. And one of my first creations was Cosmic Gorf. And that influence came from Alf, and it came from Cosmic Cow from Too Close for Comfort. And so I wanted to create my own. I was a big Star Wars fan on The Black Hole and Battlestar Galactica and Buck Rogers. So um, Cosmic Orph was my first attempt at creating my own comic character.
And how many did you run those off on the copy machine at school?
No, I would if I show I still have my loose leaf books. If I showed you my loose leaf books, 80% of it is filled with art. And so I had a teacher, Mrs. Johnson. She used to call me Vinny Barbarino in high school because I would sit in the back of the class and then have a couple of tables that I would position, and I have my legs up on another chair. And the whole time I'm illustrating, and she would always try to get me. So she would throw out a question from left field on whatever she was teaching at that time, and I always had the answer. And she would be infuriated. She's like, "You're not paying attention. How do you know this?" I said, "Because I did my homework." So I always did my assignments. And so you would have to read a chapter and all these other things. And I was fascinated by history class, and so I did my homework, and I was listening to her, but I was also drawing. And I couldn't help myself. Every time I had a pencil or a pen in my hand, I had to draw something. So, Dr. Mrs. Johnson, if you're still around, thank you. Again. But yeah. So, my so I everything was done on paper, on loose leaf paper, and then I started getting art supplies, and I couldn't get into the School of Art and Design in high school because of the district I was in, the zoning district. They said I'd have to do um, 2 years of my school and then transfer. And I was like,
Oh
2 years?
man.
That's 2 years of a waste of my life. I said, are you kidding me? I said, I got to be over here with all these hooligans. And, so the high school I went to, it was in a rough neighborhood. And I was like, come on, you're hurting my dreams. And so that broke my heart, but I still focused on drawing.
Hey, what's up, Ryan? And Ryan says, what were your favorite books growing up, and your favorite movies or TV series?
Books. I first read The Hobbit when I was in the first grade. Yeah, I first read The Hobbit. I was in first grade. I was fascinated by that. But um, TV series. I was a big fan of Buck Rogers, like I said. Star Trek, Battlestar Galactica. Um, I was a big fan of Fraggle Rock. Anything Jim Henson did, I love the Dark Crystal.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
you know, Fire and Ice. I love that. Thank you, thank you. Yes. Dun, 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 dun. So yeah, Fire and Ice, the animated movie. I love that. Uh, oh, when the Hobbit came out, the animated film. Oh my gosh, we did a big like movie screening. I had a black and white, TV. I'm dating myself in the basement, and all my friends came over. We had a sleepover in the basement, and we had it, and we were in the dark watching The Hobbit, and it was so scary that I had all the lights off. It was like someone's gonna turn on the lights. It was crazy, but I was a big fan of The Hobbit, Lord of the Rings, anything fantasy. And then when I started reading comics, uh, the first I picked up Sergeant Rock. I picked up Sergeant Rock, and then GI Joe.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
yes, and I was a big collector of GI Joe comic books, um, and I was also a big collector of the GI Joe figures, the 3/4 inch figures, 3 inch, and and then went from there. Then I was a big He-Man fan and Thundercats and all those things. So I still have all of those still action figures. I had to recollect them because my brother threw away all of my action figures when I was
Oh
a
man.
when I was in the
Well,
fifth
see,
grade.
it was worse. I blew mine up when I was a kid. So
Oh no, no! Oh man,
yeah,
I had
hey, you had to be the villain, and you had to strap, the little stick of firecracker to one of the heroes, and he'd be like, I've got you now. And then you'd light it and blow them up, And I mean,
No,
sometimes they would go back together, and
I used to build my own fortresses because, like my mom was raising 4 kids, and so she had to budget things, and so I used to build my own fortresses. I used to get plaster of Paris, and I used to get aluminum foil, create barbed wire fences with string, and
that's awesome.
I used to make these amazing big battle fortresses. I would make my makeshift elevators and all that stuff. Command centers for my GI Joes. Um, I used to love just using my creativity and seeing what I can pull off.
Hey, what's going on, Steph? Thanks for joining in. Stefan Papadopoulos.
Hola.
Hola, senor. So what made you? So you drew throughout school, and you loved drawing. You didn't pay attention in class, but the teacher got infuriated, because she would call out and say, "Hey, what's 4 plus 4?" You'd be like, 8. Get out of here. I'm drawing.
Yes.
Yeah. So how did did you have a big detour? Did you just go straight into wanting to create?
No, so what happened was, I was just saying hello to everybody. So what happened was, I got the bug to want to create comics, and I was in the music business, and me and my buddies, in the music business, like my manager was a buddy of mine, and he was also an illustrator, and my producer, we were talking about creating an empire. And at that time, it was Crazy Skills Productions was our production company in the music business. And so I wanted to create Crazy Media Group, and a division of Crazy Media Group would have been Crazy Comics. And so that was my first thing. So I designed my logo, I got it trademarked and everything. And I said, Crazy Comics is going to be the brand, and we're going to go full force. And that's how I started. So I started building the foundation first. Then we started coming up with which properties are we going to focus on. And initially, when I first started, it was a book called Tales of an Assassin, and there was another book called Execution to Die For, and then there was another book called Book of Wrath. So I got a team together. We started working on those things, and then things progressed, the people moved on, and then I was taking continuing education courses at the School of Visual Arts, and that's how I met George Medina. And I was like, and George had this little booklet that he created, a comic book with a duck in it, and that he had folded. And I was like, hey, well, first, I didn't want to look in the front because every class that we had a new male model. I was like, enough with the dudes. Can we change it up a bit? So I would just turn to the side and talk to George, and that's how I was like, I don't want to see this guy. Let's talk. And you doing the comic book? Wow, that's pretty cool. And so we started talking. I said, hey, I'm putting together a comic book company. Blah, blah, blah. Would you want to get down? And I said, and then I introduced him into the 11 by 17 storyboards and how to scan it in and all that stuff. And script writing. Everything I was doing was in script format. So we started talking, and he started working on. He was producing Rush 5377, and I started up with Cosmic Wars, and I brought in my character Cosmic Orf into Cosmic Wars. So the character that I created as a kid, I gave him life in Cosmic Wars, and so we got together, we packaged it. We had the trademarks, we had everything, and then we were like, all right, we need to do a convention. But we had limited funds. I was putting everything out of pocket. So I met Michael Carbonero at the Big Apple Con at the New Yorker Hotel. I decided ahead of time to do a poster promoting the Big Apple. And I was my goal was to convince him to use me as the designer for his ads and hopefully get a free table. So I get there, his middleman, he's like, he's like, oh, the table costs this much. I said, well, I told him the whole story. And so he's like, well, Mike's right there. So I go to Mike, and Mike is like, who are you? And I was like, oh, my name is Sam, blah, blah, blah. He said, what do you want? I said, I want to get a table. It costs this much. Go see that guy. I said, no, you don't understand. And then I was like, hey, Mike. He turned around, and I go, hey, Mike. He goes, yeah, who are you? Like 3 times. He forgot who I was. And I'm like, this guy is special, right? So I was like, so I pulled it out. I just said, look. And he goes, hey, that's my show. I said, yeah, I know. He goes, who did this? I said, I did it. You did this? I said, yeah. It went back and forth. You did this? I said, yeah, like 3 times. He's like, can you do this again? I said, sure. He goes, if you do this again, I'll give you a table. And that's how we got a table at the Big Apple. We started doing his promos. And so he gave us our first break at the Big Apple at the New Yorker Hotel. We debuted with um, Rush 5377 and Cosmic Wars. We were full color, gloss, high gloss. The story behind that was I had a buddy of mine who worked at a printing press who gave us a deal, but the deal was we had to staple and fold them ourselves, right? So we had to get this big oversized stapler, this long one, and we were on our carpets on the floor, staple folding, and then putting the heaviest books we could find to make sure they stay flattened because they would pop right open, right?
Yes.
So we did that, and we had our table. There was three of us, me, George, and Robert Nunez, who was an artist with us, and Johnny Boy, and um, and the reception was amazing. Everyone was like, "Oh my God, these are indies, and they got full color, and it's gloss, and what is this stuff that we're looking at?" And we had lines, and so because of that, the manager that runs the Big Apple for Michael, he says, "You guys, if you guys can continue to have this kind of crowd, you guys will always have a spot with us." And that's how it happened, and we felt like rock stars. And it was the best thing that happened to us, and the worst thing that happened to us because the egos through the roof, right? And we, so we're like, we're superstars, and no, that was not the case, but it was exciting. So much so, I'm gonna share this story, and I'm gonna embarrass myself. So this young boy comes up to the table, and he's interested. He's interested in Cosmic Wars, right? And he goes, "What's this about?" I said, "Well, if you're a Star Wars fan, you're gonna love this." And I'm talking about blah, blah, blah. He walks away, and George is like, "Yo, that's young Boba Fett. That's the actor. He's signing at the Big Apple." And I was like, "I knew he looked familiar."
Oh man, I knew that was coming. I was like, oh, here we go with the young Boba Fett. That's great. I freaking
Oh
love
my
that.
God, I
Man.
embarrassed myself. I felt like an idiot. I was like, "Oh man." I said, "No wonder he didn't want to buy the book anymore." He's like, "You don't even know who I am." Yes, that was awesome. But what was also great about that show was Brian Polito came over to us and introduced himself to us, and he was like, "Well, he was very impressed with what we're doing and blah blah." And then he took 30 minutes out of his time to talk about the ins and outs and some things to avoid, and I was like, "Wow." So that was impressive for us, and so that was the beginning of our journey into comics.
And then you guys also did the Catch the Craze podcast.
Yes. So I don't know if it was about it, maybe a year into Crazy Comics, podcasting started to be introduced, and mostly it was for cooking shows. You saw podcasting on cooking shows back then, but there was a PodCamp convention at the New Yorker Hotel as well. So I went there. We attended, and then I was a guest on um, Comic Geek Speak. And so the whole time offline, I was like, "Well, how do you do this? How do you do that? How do you do this? How do you do that?" And then I was on iFanboy, and I said, "You know what?" I said, "George, we're gonna we're gonna start a podcast." And I went straight to Sam Ash. I got a mixer. I got mics. I told the guy, I said, "Look, I need to do a podcast. I need mixers. I need this." The guy recommended whatever, and I went home, set it all up, and we started it. And it was amazing because we were in the early stages of podcasting, so everybody wanted to be on the show, right? Because they were like, "Here's another form of promotion," and so we had everybody. We had the Brian Polito, we had Mike Oming, we had so many Billy Tucci. We had so many people on the show, and but I didn't realize what we had. So you see all these hits, you see thousands of downloads. I'm seeing thousands of downloads. I'm like, wow, this is amazing. But you don't realize it. And I didn't understand the power of YouTube at that time because YouTube was early stages as well. So when we walked away from it, I look back now. If we would have just stood with it from then till now, forget about it. But we didn't understand. I didn't understand what we were doing, what we were playing with. But we were having
Well,
fun.
you guys stepped away for a good reason anyway, because you had family and you were trying to do the books, you were doing the podcast, and creating isn't easy. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of your time away from everything else, and when you're trying to raise a family and stuff, it's hard to do. I mean, I lay victim to it sometimes. Doing the podcast and writing book and trying to crowd fund the book and go on shows to promote my book. It gets to be tedious. It's like every second of the day you're planning something to do with your projects, and you guys, it wasn't for a bad reason you guys walked away, but
Yeah, no, it was just, but you look at things and you realize that, like, you see, the world moves so fast, right? And technology moves so fast, and sometimes when you don't see the trends, you don't realize, what's happening. And it was a great learning lesson. Creating is easy, variant covers are tough. Variant covers. Yeah,
says the variant cover artist, right?
yeah, I know, right?
But yeah, no, and so you guys stepped away, and then you bring it back, and you guys started the catch the crazies.
Yeah, so that happened by chance. So when George and I met up again after 10 years of doing our own things, I went the corporate world, and George he stood in comics. And when we met up again, and I was like, look, I'm going to bring back the podcast. Are you down? Because he and I always had chemistry on the show. And so I was like, he was like, hell yeah. And so when we had our first initial meeting, it was, all right, let's talk about the structure. We wanted to start beginning, middle, and end. We wanted a segment where we talk about something specific, which we labeled "Get Your Meds." We wanted a segment for the guests. We wanted a wrap up show. We wanted in the news, all that stuff. And during that whole process, when we came out, if you look at our return to podcasting, because now we went from audio podcasting to video podcasting, right? So everything's changed, and I had to go and get new equipment, except for the mics. The mics are the same, but I had to get webcams, and I changed my old mixer and get a Rodecaster Pro, and all these stuff, whatever.
Yeah, you had to go from analog to digital, and
Yes.
upgrade the whole setup.
So I actually took about 3 to 6 months just learning what changed, learning OBS, learning all these different programs, talking to YouTubers, and just educating myself on what changed the 10 years I've been away. And so we were ready. And then during that process, I knew that I was going to rebrand. I knew that we were going to. So we just thought it was a rough in the beginning. And then I started doing this skit with the Crazy Man. And if you've never seen the skit, you just go to Catch the Craze and look up Stop Acting Up. And so Stop Acting Up is something I say on the show all the time. And so I created this skit. And it just, then for some reason, I was sitting alone at home thinking about what next. And I was drinking some Jack Daniel's Tennessee whiskey, honey. And then I was like, oh, there it is. Catch the Crazies. I was like, oh. So I started designing the characters, and I was getting frustrated with the look of the characters. So I contacted somebody that I commissioned somebody that I used in my past, because I loved his style, and I knew that he would capture the look for me. And then once he did that, I would be able to redraw it, but I just need his style. And so I was like, here's what I got. I said, and here's their profile. I need it in your style. He did it in one take, and I was like, you son of a biscuit. I love you. And so his what is his name? Masya Kempro, yes. And so he's a fantastic artist. And so then I called George. I said, George, we're gonna create a comic book about us with a twist. That's the crazy. And then he starts laughing, and we start talking, and then we just start, conceptualizing from that point on. I showed him the character designs. He falls in love with it, and blah blah. And then we just went from there. And Cast the Crazies is the extension of our journey, but with some humor and some supernatural elements to it. And that's how that came about. So it was never planned. It just happened to evolve.
And I can't wait to read it. I just got mine I guess a week ago. I got all mine in. Yeah, I'm excited to read it. I'll be doing a review show on it soon. So for those of you that are interested in Catch the Crazies, number 3 just was successfully funded on Kickstarter a few months ago, and I just received my copy. So those will be on the review show soon. So now moving forward, we're going to get to the meat and potatoes of the video. So how did you end up with Forbidden?
Forbidden. I was just laughing at Steph's response. Russ just
upgraded the dial-up modem.
That's hilarious. I remember dial-up. It used to be a pain in the rear.
Yeah.
So Forbidden, I wrote in 2000. So I wrote Forbidden. Um, so I loved Image Comics. I loved Grifter and all these other characters, and so I created my character called Sin. Sin in the evolved form, and because he has the primitive form, which is Starticus, is his birth name, but Sin is his given name based on what happens. So I created Sin the character, and I was looking at him. And I said, "Why is it? Why is his name Sin? It can't be his birth name." And I started asking myself questions. And so I said, "Okay, what's his real name?" And the name Starticus just popped in my head, and I was like, "Why Starticus?" Right? So I was like, "Okay, so it sounds old world. All right, so let's see." So his name is Starticus. He was given the name Sin. That means he had to do something horrible. What was that? And it is you can't do nothing more horrible than doing something against your own family, right? So I was like, all right, so what was that? And then I created his father. The best stories about that father and son, um, turmoil. So I was like, what was it about his father that caused him to challenge the status quo? And well, his father is trying to protect his people from this curse, and so the son challenges his father, right? And but why does he challenge his father? Where does he get that? If they've only known the underground and they've only lived under, where would he get these thoughts from? There has to be an influencer. Then who is that influencer? There's nothing better than a love interest, right? Because love is blind, right? So then you have, here comes that third party. Here comes a love interest who plants the seed in his head. You know, you need, this, it's a lie. There is no curse, blah, blah, blah. So um so that's how I started building the story. Then I was like, all right, so he can't be the only child. There has to be another. And then so I created the sister, Deseret. So only men rule, but she is the strongest, the most strategic, the most fearless, right? But she can't rule because she's a woman. But she's caught in the middle between father and son. So then that's how I started building the world. And so the plot is basically centuries ago, a race of people roamed the surface of the earth. They were broken into three components. You had farmers, you had hunters, and you had warriors, right? The hunters went off to get food for the village. They went into a forbidden forest they knew they shouldn't have gone into. They were immediately attacked by creepers. Creepers are entities that dwell within those dark forests, and they're led by Nokron, who is the overlord. Everyone loses their life except for one, makes it back to the village. By nightfall, a figure shows up and says, "Give us that who's desecrated our land, and no harm will come to you." The villagers chose not to. So by morning, when they woke up, they started dying from the sun, burning from the sun. So they ran underground, never to be seen again. Centuries later, the world has evolved. Modern day technology. We have cars, we have buses, all this stuff, whatever. The world evolved, but they have not. And so has the entities that dwelled in those forests. And David Hunter is a billionaire who is in a human form, but he's truly Nokron. He is the overlord. And his goal is to dominate the globe. But prophecy has it that his plans will be thwarted at the hands of the Son of Rocks if he rises from the ashes, from the caverns. And that's where issue 0 took place, which we launched on Indiegogo. Issue 0 took place with the conversation with the father and son. He's challenging his father. Father, how do you know this curse still exists? We've been down here for centuries. And the father throws his son and locks him up. He locks him up until he gets rid of those foolish thoughts. So the son, with the aid of his love interest, escapes and spills blood against his own people. And and that's where that ends. So this issue starts off. You find out, did they escape? Did it make it to the surface? And what happens with Nokron? Is he alerted that the Son of Vox has risen? And that's where this one takes place.
And both are available on the
Both of them are
Kickstarter.
available. Yes, I started issue 0 on Indiegogo, and then feedback from everybody saying bring it to Kickstarter.
Sin's name was originally Jethro. Sin was just shorter.
Where's that guy from Showtime at the Apollo with the cane? We gotta get him out.
Get him out!
Get him out.
Quit acting up.
Yeah, stop acting up, Johnny. I'm gonna drop you off in the middle of the woods. And yeah, so that's where this story takes place. And this issue, number 1, is 27 pages, art by Anibal Arroyo. It really takes off. This issue, we're introducing several new characters. Um, One is Viejo, and you get to see who David Hunter is in this issue, and it's very exciting because Sin now has to figure out if he made the right decision or not. Was it worth it? Was the risk worth it?
So how does it feel, 20 years, I guess 20 years later, 21 years now later, finally, seeing your passion, your child in putting it out there. How does that feel?
It's exciting. My goal when I decided to come back into comics was to start with Forbidden. Cast of Crazy just happened to sidestep Forbidden for a second, but I'm glad we did it that way because, um, getting everybody to recognize the fact that we're not just podcasters, we are comic creators as well. And Cast of Crazy was a great way to do that, to build an audience and build, and bridge the gap between comic books and podcasting and putting them together. Uh, but the Forbidden was always my plan to release it. So when 2018, I finished the series, and I wrote the entire, because when I first released it in 05, 06, I only released 2 issues, 0 and 1, and got a lot of great critic reviews. It was well received at cons. We had a big following for Forbidden until I left the business. And so then, but I never finished writing the series. I had the plot, I had the Bible, I had all the character profiles and character designs, I had everything. So I knew exactly where it was going, but I never finished writing the scripts. So in 2018, I decided to finish writing the scripts, and then I commissioned an artist. This is before I even thought about doing a Kickstarter. I just paid out of pocket and commissioned the artist to finish it because Anibal wasn't available to finish the series, and and he did an amazing job. And when Anibal's art is beautiful. This guy takes it to that next step with the amount of things that are on a one page. It's fantastic. So he was able. The good thing about the two artists that I worked with was none of them. They were both fearless. They were fearless artists. Were willing to tackle no matter what was thrown at them in these scenes. And so when I write a script, I write a traditional script where it's you know, page one, 4 panels, panel one, bird's eye view, blah blah blah, and then it has the caption, who's talking. It'll have the name of the person talking, whatever it is. Um, so it's easy for anybody who's an artist to interpret. So it was interesting to see how the artist and Anibal interpreted the pages the same exact way, which is pretty fantastic. So yeah, that's Anibal's art there. So I decided I was going to do that, and I had it inked and done, and then George started lettering it, and then with the Kickstarter, the help of the Kickstarter, I started commissioning a colorist to color it named Barbara Soroji, and she's up to page 75, so she's already colored issues 0 through 3, and so she's working on issue 4 now, and by December, the entire 168 pages will be fully colored.
And how many issues do you plan on doing with Forbidden?
Six.
6?
So it's a mini series. It needs a sexy variant cover. Just saying.
Here he comes. Here comes Steph, the variant cover artist. Because the creating's easy. The variant covers are hard.
I know, right?
Oh man. So outside of creating and outside of of drawing and writing stories, what are some of your hobbies that you like to do still?
I work out. That's my way of releasing stress. Uh, being a brokepreneur can be very stressful, and I like working out, and I listen to a lot of motivational podcasts as my way of resetting, and I like playing with my dogs. My dogs ground me. My dog right here, he's sleeping right here. One sleeping underneath the table. Uh, they remind me about the more important things. They help me just get out of my creative vacuum and come back to earth and realize that I have to make time for the loved ones, my wife and my family, and so because this can get you caught up in a whirlwind, especially when you're trying to promote and all the social media platforms, all that stuff, and uh, so those things help me. And the great thing about being an artist, a writer, podcaster, video editor, if I'm stuck on illustrating, I can write. If I'm stuck on writing and illustrating, I can edit videos, or you know, there's so many different things I can do to get that creative juice flowing. So I tend to I create a regimen for myself by day, and so like I'll start off the morning posting updates, and then I'll go and edit video, and then I'll go and illustrate something, and then I'll go and work on ads for guests that are coming on. So I have everything structured so that it helps me break up the time so I don't get into a rut.
Yeah, well, I mean, burnout is a real thing. You just sit there and draw and draw and draw and draw and draw. You get burned out on it. The same thing with writing.
Yeah.
You write for so long and you hit a roadblock, and it's like, all right, I'm gonna go mow the grass. Maybe I'll think of something. All right, I'm gonna go wash the car, and then that something never comes. But you being able to edit video and draw and write stories, you can kind of over overcome that hump by doing something else creative and kind of, like you said, get the creative juices flowing. And that's the nice thing about being able to do the various forms of creativity. I mean, that's been the fun part about Stuff Pool, and I never been one to draw much. And, everybody's like, oh, well, go do something else. So, I'll sit and doodle Stuff Pools and make something funny to make care of this boob here, and and then I'm like, oh, that's a great idea. And then I go back to writing, draw boobs equals 0 burnout. Just saying. This guy, I tell you.
Yeah.
Kick him out.
I have a Michael Sammartino, similar sense of humor on that's a avid follower and so a big supporter of us. And oh, good lord, wow, look at that mullet.
Louis Torres made that. Oh man, he's like, hey, he sent that to me. I was like, that's perfect. I'm putting it on the podcast. I'm like, anytime stuff gets out of line, I'm just gonna start posting pictures of him.
Nice.
Stuff's a great dude though, but you got.
Look at that. It's like Michael Carbonero. Wow.
Oh, I love the guy though. He's so great. I mean, he did this beautiful art for ZB4K.org to help raise money for sick kids. So he's a swell dude. I love Steph and Carrie. They're great people. We just like to give each other a hard time.
Yeah.
Or you always get the classic. Hold on here, we got this one where he's getting the apology balloons and flowers for Carrie for missing lines.
Nice. Look at that. Wow.
Sorry, I had to keep the train going. This is why I mess with Russell. Yeah, you get us in a room and you think we hate each other. That's why it was so much fun putting him and Ruben Rosas on the stretch goal card together with Xenonanite Titan. So like they're always bickering back and forth on Facebook, and people are like, "Man, these guys really hate each other." So I asked Steph and I asked Ruben, if they would do, and they both ended up doing one. So I put them both on each side of an art card. I'm like, it's like sworn enemies on the same piece of metal.
Nice.
That's great. But hey, I give him the same amount of trouble back on his live stream, so he's all good. He can come in here and stir up trouble. I don't mind.
That's what makes
He's a goober. That's right.
Yes. We have, again, Michael Sammartino. He's always coming at me, and so is Crystal. She's always coming at me. So, but it's fun. It's fun. You never know what's going to come out the mouth.
No, you don't. So where can, if people would like to pick up a copy of Catch the Crazies, where would they get that at?
Oh, if they go to crazycomics.com, that's with 2 E's and not a Y. So crazycomics.com, you can get every issue that we've put out so far is available on the website. And so is the other stuff that I produce, like There's an Alien in My Toilet, and all of my kids' books as well.
Oh, wait, let's talk about There's an Alien in My Toilet.
Where are you, Duty? Where did I put you? He was here a minute ago. I was on another show this morning. I don't know where I put him, but yeah, There's an Alien in My Toilet. His name is Duty. He's from the planet Uranus, and he He is the thorn in the side of uh, the general of Uranus because he has to babysit him because Duty's father is the ruler of Uranus. So the general decides to send Duty on a foolish errand, and he sends him to Earth. He says, "Hey, go there, do a recon mission, tell us if they're a threat to our planet." And so he gets excited because he thinks he's the smartest, most brilliant, mind in the universe, and he thinks that they need him. So he gets on his little ship and he heads off to Earth, and he realizes midway that he forgot to refuel, and so he crash lands. And the moment he crash lands, now he has to survive Earth's simple creatures, from woodpeckers to squirrels to turtles to wolves and bears. He makes it into a house where there's a Chihuahua named Herman, and the Chihuahua thinks that Duty is a talking jalapeno. And so he's trying to get at Duty. He's barking. The father keeps putting the dog in the cage, to stop him from barking, but he wants to go after that jalapeno that's in the house. And so the son thinks he saw an alien in the toilet. So the father has his friends over. The son embarrasses the father in front of his friends, and now the father's the butt of jokes at work. The government's trying to track down where this alien crashed.
Where this jalapeno.
Yes, yes. So the father, starts seeing things in the house, so he starts making calls to try to get people to come and investigate. So he gets UFO specialists to the house. He gets witch hunters, supernatural hunters to the house. So all these things happen, and Duty now has to try to survive and get off of Earth and get back to Uranus. So the graphic, the graphic. This was kind of comic.
I'm just laughing because you said Duty has to survive Earth and get back to Uranus. I just can't anymore. Like, oh my god, this is George is in here. He said we're already talking about Duty.
It wasn't me, George. It was him. He started it.
No, you said that's where they could find an alien in the toilet. I just wanted to talk about aliens.
I was talking for He said, "Yo, tell me about Duty." And,
he's talking about freaking Duty jalapenos in the house. Got supernatural investigators chasing poop and shaped like a jalapeno. Oh my god. Breaker 99, we've got a Duty jalapeno loose in the neighborhood. Get the teepee. Oh. Bloop. Yeah, there goes the show.
Honey, stop adding to the madness.
Oh my god.
We lost the host.
Russell's now your number 2 fan. All right, I'm good now. Like I couldn't contain it anymore. You said Uranus like 4 times, and I'm just like, oh my god. Oh, could you imagine like an 8-year-old, like their parents buy this book and an 8-year-old takes it in for show and tell?
Yeah, it's a true story. I had teachers buy it for the classrooms, and I had parents buy it. I had one parent buy dozens of copies for the son's birthday party, and they gave it to every kid that showed up to the birthday party. So it was a big when I released it back then. It was a big thing, and then I took copies with me to ZoloCon, and they just flew off the table. So it was pretty dope.
Oh,
just be flowing. Yes.
Oh man, that's great, man. Did I get the link right? I'm sorry, I got so lost on that. You said Crazy with 2 E's, right?
Yes, Crazy with 2 E's, crazycomics.com. You can check out everything that I produce, from the kids' books to the comic books to a prose, short story prose that I wrote called ARG. That's also available on the website as well. Yeah, and then check out Forbidden if you haven't seen it already. You did pick up issue 0. You can get the digital edition, and I decided to do an incentive for the if you get the digital edition 0 and 1, and we get to 50 backers, everybody at $10 and up, and the $10 is a digital level, will get the Forbidden exclusive Darkness trading card. So you might not have done a physical pledge at the $10, but you're still going to get something in the mail. Um, and that's my way of saying thank you. So so and I get it. There's so many different campaigns and so many talented people out there, and everyone's like, "Oh, who do I support?" Give Forbidden a chance. Get zero. At $5 you can get issue zero, and test it, and then make up your mind after that if you want to follow us from that point on.
So, Sam, where do you see yourself in the future? Like, is this what do you have any other projects that you want to work on that you've kind of wrote before as well, or?
I see myself on a ship with Elon Musk heading to Mars. Um, no, um, um, I wanna do Forbidden as a prose. That's my goal. But the reception of the 6 issues will determine what I do with it. Um, I want to see Catch the Crazies on television. I'm pushing for that and license Designated on My Toilet and try to get that into as many hands and in a lot of different venues as possible. So that's what I'm working on for that. I don't want to be an independent publisher. I just want to be a creator, a content creator. And so right now, I have to do all those things that I don't want to do in order to get to where I want to go. And I understand that, but the long term is
You
um,
want to create
I
and
just want to, yes, I just want to have the freedom to just play. Um, you know, hopefully grow the podcast to a point where there's somebody else doing the editing and somebody else is doing the technical stuff. So that way, George and I can just have fun and do what we do best. Because there's a lot of plans for the podcast. There's some skits that we want to do and all these other things, but sometimes it gets a little challenging. So yeah, long term, I'm looking at like multimedia um, and just being licensed to brand out and being consultant on the properties. Uh, have the creative say on all the properties and not giving up my rights. So that's what I'm looking at long term.
man, all I can think about is a banner at a Comic Con. Check out Alien in the Toilet. It's the shit. I'm sorry. I had to get it in there.
Well,
I
Johnny,
had to.
Johnny, why don't you say what you said at the con?
No, boy, I'm scared. If
Johnny,
Johnny said it.
Johnny, I'm waiting for you to say it. What did you say? What was the tagline? Yeah, Johnny's a funny boy.
I'm. That's the first thing I'm gonna do when I get paid this week is I'm gonna go buy a copy of that, and I'm gonna video my wife reading it to the kids. I gotta do it on live stream. Here's the live audio version of my wife reading. There's an alien in the toilet.
That's not what you said, Johnny. You said just duty it.
Just duty it.
Yeah.
No, geez.
Yeah.
Well, Sam, thanks so much for being on tonight, man. I had a lot of fun. It was really great to hear, your story. You love to draw, and you did the podcast, and you had these stories that you did, and you guys got together, and you did the con at the Big Apple, and then you left. But ultimately, you took the long detour around, but you came back, and now you're doing what you want to do, and hopefully one day, just do it. Yeah, there you go. Hopefully one day we can all get to that point where we can just create and have somebody else distribute, edit, and take care of the fancy footwork for us while we have fun doing what we do and making great stuff for people to get an escape. Because that's, at the end of the day, that's what it is. We're creating worlds and we're creating stories that will give people an escape from their everyday lives where they can have fun too.
Yes.
And that's what it's all about.
And if you're in the New York area, August 7th and 8th, I'll be at EternaCon in Artist Alley. And on the 8th, I will be on a panel at EternaCon with the Comic Book School and Buddy Scalera and Ari. And we're going to be creating compelling comic book characters with a live audience. And we're going to be taking feedback from the audience to develop those characters. And I'll be drawing with a few other artists in the panel. And then at the end of the month, George and I will be doing a podcasting pedal at Ambient Con's Virtual Con. And while it's a free con, if you want to get some VIP passes, use code CDC4321. That's Catch the Craze 4321. So it's CDC 4321, and you'll get a discount to Ambient Con. It's going to be fun. So check us out there. Those are the last two venues at the events I'm doing this year. And then I'm just going to focus on everything else.
All right, well, I'm going to give you the big screen, give you a chance to give everybody the elevator pitch for Forbidden one more time. Tell them where they can find you, and I'm going to pop that link back in there for them to find the alien in the toilet.
There you go. So check out Forbidden. I don't know if you can see this. This is the gold cover to Forbidden. Forbidden is it's my baby. It's my project. I've been working on it for over a decade, 2 decades. And a lot of great artists worked on it. We have 5 artists that worked on the project. A great colorist, George Medina, who's probably the best letterer in the business. So there's a lot of people that worked on this project, and give it a chance. Check out issue 0 if you're skeptical and on the fence, but I'm sure you're gonna love it, and you're going to fall in love with some of the characters. You think you're gonna know what's gonna happen. You're gonna get upset. You're gonna fall in love, and hopefully you join that journey with us and enter the world of Forbidden. Um, on Kickstarter, 8 days left. And visit me on crazycomics.com and you'll find out about where I'm going to be, what I produce, and you can also get stuff, even commission work from me on the website. And thank you, Russ, for having me on. I appreciate it.
Oh, you're very welcome, man. Thank you very much for being on and talking about your passion. And I hope to have you on again soon for issue 2
Yes, yes. In the fall.
in the fall.
Yes.
So I'm going to kick you to the back. If you want to hang out for a second in the green room, I'll be right back, sir.
Absolutely.
Whoops, wrong button. That's it. I'm fired. Kick me out. Thanks so much for being here tonight, guys. Thanks so much for watching the show and listening to Sam tell a story about how he got where he is now, and hear a little bit about Forbidden and what you guys can find on Kickstarter right now. If you would, please at least share it out. If you can, pledge $1 to it. Pledging $1 helps out greatly for creators because people can follow you on Kickstarter. If you pledge that $1, that sends a message to everyone that follows you on Kickstarter saying, hey, such and such just backed this project. Check it out. And they may not otherwise have seen that project because of you, but definitely at least try to check out the digital. And if you're on the fence about it, give it a chance and see what it's all about. And thank you for helping to support indie creators. It means a lot. Guys, thanks so much again for being here tonight. For those of you watching back, we appreciate you as well. If you guys ever have any questions, you can reach out to myself or Sam or anyone that's ever on the show. I want to have a shout out once again. Next Friday, August 6th, I will be having the CB4K auction live from Thursday Night Throwdown, Friday Night Draw. You can find the link for that on my personal page. Guys, please tell your friends about it. Try to show up to it if you would, please. It's at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, or no, I'm sorry, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. I always get messed up with the time zones, but it means a lot to me. We're going to be raising money for cb4k.org. I'm going to have things like this to auction off. I have the original artwork to April Grady Reyna's artwork for her CB4K t-shirt that's available on the website at xenonanitetitan.com. You guys can find that link at the top of this page. But, definitely please show up, bid on some items. I got some other original artworks. I have Alligator Loki that's been done by another artist, not me. So it's definitely it looks good. And Rodney and Andre Osh will be on there, also drawing pieces live and auctioning those off. And all proceeds are going to cb4k.org. So please check that out. Guys, thanks so much again for being here. As always, this is Russ Explode Studios with projects that will blow your mind. You guys have a great night and a great week. I will see you all later.